welcome to another high-powered episode of the High Voltage Live Show. I'm your host, Willie Snyder, coming to you live from the Mile High City of Avalanche Country, Denver, Colorado, joined by my awesome co-host, Mr. King James Stalkup over there in Stars Country, giving old hook 'em horns for them Stars, finally taking a lead on the series, and they're looking all right, man. I think they'll take out the Wild, but like I say, sorry about the audio issues I was having last week. We're going to try it again this week, see if I can get through it. I had a stunning admission from Weed Man, and I actually had a really funny, kind of premonition that I was going to screw up the whole show by trying to record my video. And so I apologize, King James. I don't know what I did, but obviously I did my video, and my video came out fine. I should have just put everything back the way I found it, and I messed up, bro. So I'm sure you've been through that before with messing up your pops and stuff. So
I remember when we first started the podcast. Remember the problems, like the first two times I was messing up on stuff. It's the first time I ever used it.
Yeah, and I just decided to bust out the full-on podcast rig this week and throw it on down, but. Like I say, it's a lot of fun doing these. I have just a blast doing them. I want to thank all the participation in the electrical code discussion for awesome electricians. I think you're right. I think I was at like 300 comments in there last time I checked, so that's pretty awesome. Oh, look who popped in already. We got old Daniel J. What's up, brother, man? We went to the Avs game on Sunday, first game of the playoffs, so that was pretty awesome. We had a good time.
Yeah, I saw your picture online.
Yep.
Yeah, I get on every now and then.
Yeah, we got
I just got so much going on, I can't get on all the time.
Speaking of so much going on, we make sure and click on the link to Learn Worlds and check out the best online code instruction. I don't know what you would call it. You call it learning center, but it's pretty much everything. It's theory. It's not just code. There's a lot of stuff in there.
You know what's interesting about it? It's one thing for publication online, but what's cool about it is you can go through and click the chapter, whatever publication you want, and then we got all the topics in that chapter. It's quick access that you can get to the stuff you need, and all the rest got to scroll through the pages. They're not fast like that,
right?
And it takes a lot of time to go through and do every one of those, but trust me, it makes a huge difference. And one of the things I want to finish is quick tonight because I want to see the draft. I want to try to get there before the Cowboys make their second pick.
Yeah, we might cut out a little early. Avs start a little late tonight, but we have David Englehart. What's up, man? All code nerds are in the house, brother. You got it, man.
Can I take control real quick? I got something I need to pop up.
Okay. Yeah, go for it.
Well, I guess we know who won.
Yeah.
David's on here. David, I'll leave tomorrow. I won't be here all next week, but the next week after that, I'll get in contact with you. Bill will be doing the podcast next week. I'm going to be out of town teaching and some consulting. Basically, I'm being depoted. I got to go to North Carolina, so and then I've got 3 places I need.
Is that better, David? I turned down my speaker. I might have had my speaker.
Yeah, it might have been you that was causing echo because I'm same as always.
Yeah.
But we'll take and I'll get in touch with you, get all that taken care of. But congratulations, brother. You actually were tied with another person, but that person never responded. I think it was a fake account, like by Jeremy or one of them guys put a fake name there. That's why they wouldn't respond.
Right.
So
Yeah, okay, yeah, that cleared it up. Sorry about that, David. Yeah, it was funny because, like, Weed Man, he just ghosted after we just destroyed him. And, you know, I got a pretty good admission out of him, you know, and I was going to try to play it last week, but I think you're going to like this, James. It's pretty funny.
I don't hear nothing.
Can you hear that?
No.
Okay, let me see. Try. When's the last time you've been in the field?
Well, it's been a while, but I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it shows. Cause
and it shows that you don't fucking know what the code says.
There's not very
great
many.
that you're just a bitch on a job site that does what other people tell them to do.
There's not many installations that I've seen in the last 20 years that have 80% rated breakers, especially over even like 100 amps. Can you hear that okay?
Yep.
Okay. But I think it's funny how he's saying I'm a bitch on a job site. It shows that he doesn't know what's going on. I mean, I'm running the electrical operations at DIA for my company. You know, so it's like, and if anybody has any code questions, they always call me. So, you know, it's one of those things I think is kind of funny that, you know, he's going to sit there and say that. And then I go on to show the part where you schooled him. Let's check this out.
All right, so your 724 amps of continuous load got us to 905?
Yeah.
I think it was. So why can't I use a 850 amp overcurrent device? Why can't I use an 825 or 863? What says I have to use a 900?
A 900 amp is the next one below it. It's a.
But where does it say
size
you
you
go to
can
the
buy
next
that.
one
It's
below?
not a standard size that's listed in 240 table 246A. But you can go on any website, Google, whatever, and they have 900 amp available. That's where you're dropping down to the next
I'm
size.
not debating that they don't have that available, but 240.4C just says that the conductor has to have an ampacity that is equal or greater than the overcurrent device. If I put it on an 850, is that conductor, if I do parallel 4 odds, is that still greater than the 850? Yes, it is. So why couldn't I use an 850? Why couldn't I use an 825? Why can't I, you know?
You go down to the next standard size.
Where does it say you go down to the
This is exactly why you have problems understanding about doing a
Where
minimum
does
max
it
size
say?
and maximum size for your overcurrent device for a motor. And then you guys over there, y'all completely disregard the fact that if I go look at an AC unit and it has a hacker breaker rating, they have minimum and maximum on there. You're basically telling the rest of the industry we're all a bunch of freaking idiots because we don't agree with y'all.
Where does this say that I go down to the next standard size or anything in 240.4C? All it says is that...
Wow.
No, where does it say it? Show me where it says in 240.4C that I have to drop down to that standard size.
Okay, listen,
Whatever.
It says where the overcurrent device is rated over 800 amps. Pay attention. The ampacity of the conductors it protects shall be equal to or greater than what? The
The rating
overcurrent
of the
device.
overcurrent device.
That's
Yeah.
right. So that means you gotta go down. You can't go up.
Okay, fine, you go down, but why can't I go down to an 850? Why can't I go down to an 835? Why can't I
Well,
go
if
down
you're
to an
gonna say that,
835?
just take it down to a 20 amp overcurrent device.
Agreed,
You know how
that's the
stupid
thing.
you sound?
No, I'm not sounding stupid.
Yeah,
Why
they're
the
telling
code
you
as
here
it's
you
written?
cannot exceed, the overcurrent device can't exceed the conductors. It literally says it.
Agreed. I agree, but the thing is, there's no minimum size that I need to install when it comes to 240.4C.
Who said anything about a minimum? I said you drop down.
But the thing is, there's no, you drop down to where? Where does it
That
say you
size
drop
below,
down to
whatever
the
that
Where does it say
calculated
that in the
number
code?
is.
Where does it
You
say in the
take-
code you drop down?
You calculate load to 905 amps. You go to table 310.16, you pick up your 75-degree C column, come down, pick up 4 off. They're good for 230 amps. We parallel it 4 times, that's 920 amps. Okay, my conductor size is set for the calculated load, right?
Yep.
You agree with that, okay? So
I
I've already
agree.
set the conductors for it. Now it's telling you the conductors have to be equal to or greater than the overcurrent device. So what am I going to do? Go up on the size overcurrent device?
No, you're going to
you
go down with the
Thank you.
Well, where
There
does
we
it
go,
say?
900 amps.
Well, where does it say you have to go to 900? Why can't I go to 850? Why can't I go to 825? Why can't I go down to 800? Why can't I go down to 500?
The way they set it up is you drop down to whatever the size is below, the next size that's below.
Where
what
does
the
it say
calculated
that in
load.
the code?
Right there it says it.
No, it does not.
Yeah, it does.
says. No, it says the ampacity of the conductors and
Okay,
protection of
let
the
me,
equal or
okay,
greater the
what
rating
size
of
are
the
you gonna
overcurrent
put it at? What size you gonna
What?
put it at, a 20 amp, 50 amp,
Well,
60 amp?
There's nothing that says I can't, because what is 240?
Oh, so you're saying this
protection of
section's
conductor?
wrong? You're saying this section's
No, I'm not saying
completely
this
wrong?
section is wrong. I'm saying 240.4 is protection of conductor. If I put 900 amp wire on a 100 amp breaker, am I protecting those conductors? Yes, I am. All right.
It got worse after that.
See, that's what I'm talking about. There's more. It goes there. He said, well, you go up on the wire size and then protect the 905 amp load with 1,000 amp. And
No, it was with 100.
or whatever it was.
Yeah, he said 100 amp, and then he's like, you're like, what are you gonna do? The haircut to get the conductors to fit?
Yeah. I was like, you don't know what you're talking about.
It was ridiculous, but that was pretty funny, man. Oh man.
Yeah. That's what you get into, and it's fun to listen to some of that stuff so you can see. Truly humble, thank you. He said, David Englehart. Truly
Oh yeah,
humble,
dude.
thank you.
David Englehart got the $1,000, so that's awesome. We
I
were
hope
wondering who was gonna get $1,000 of King James's money. I'm glad it went to David.
Only thing I got a question today, were you okay with the picture I used? I pulled it off of your photos on your Facebook. So I did that last night, and I was like, I'm going to use this one. This looks good. And so congratulations, brother.
That's awesome, and we're so proud to have really good people like you in the chat and hanging out with us. Like Daniel's a great dude. And it's so awesome to just have like really cool regulars that come by the show and hang out. And like I say, we had somebody else come by the show and the other day. And
Where's the myth of the week, Willie?
Well, I agree with the myth of the week, but you got to do the meme of the week first.
oh, we didn't even do it yet, right? Oh, my
There
bad.
we go.
All right, it goes with the myth.
Mike, you're going to have to hold on a second.
All right. So that was actually based on a true story that they were doing like a UL test on uninsulated lugs like back in the 70s. And I don't know what they were doing. Like, I don't know what the test was, but they came back and the whole lab was burnt to the ground. And I just thought that was so hilarious that they were like, oh man, I guess those lugs ain't good or whatever.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Fernando Mendoza, #1 pick.
Oh, nice. Oh, is the draft already starting?
Yep, start at 7. Okay.
Who got him?
Shoot. Oh, man.
Was it the Jets or?
The Jets.
Okay.
Yeah, the Jets.
Gotcha. All right. There you go, Raiders.
Okay, here we go. Myth of the
All
week.
right.
You ready, Mike?
It's time for Myth of the Week. All right, so I really appreciate all the participation we had this week on Myth of the Week. It was really awesome, and I kind of knew this would kind of stir some little bit of some stuff up. You know, like I've been doing electrical for over 30 years, and I've always been taught to never backstab. Like ever since I've been, first year apprentice, I've always used the screws, and that's just something that I just do. There has been times where we're on like production jobs and they just like get it done, and I've backstabbed, and those places are still standing, believe it or not, James. It's like not like it's some kind of David Englehart, he was cool with the picture, so sorry about missing that comment there, David. So this is kind of an interesting myth that comes up. So there was in the history, there was some backstab receptacles that had some problems with thermal heating, and so it was an issue. I'd say probably back in the 70s, 80s is what my guess was, but it was way before my time, and I started the trade in '95, and I did have a lot of melted receptacles even back then in '95. And what were those, like 20 years old? So, here's 20-year-old installations that are just now melting and stuff. So I think that's kind of interesting to, kind of put into the spotlight of where this myth came from, why it's in there. And like I say, what's in that picture is a listed product. I don't see any issue with backstabbing it. I don't really see it coming loose and causing a fire or anything. There would be major problems with listing agencies, but here we go again, James, right back into that same thing again, where nothing in the code says anything about backstabbing receptacles or versus using the screw or anything. So don't go look in your code book, because it's not going to tell you a thing. You go to that manufacturer, whatever that manufacturer instructions tell you to do. If you do it like that and it fails, the manufacturer takes a hit for it, not the National Electric Code. So
you might want to hold off on that statement.
Really?
Yeah. Let me go here. I put like a montage of stuff together here.
Okay.
But when you look at 406.10.3, it talks about your wiring devices installed using screwless terminals of conductor push-in type construction, also known as push-in terminals, shall be installed on not greater than 15 amp branch circuits and be connected with number 14.
Right.
But this is one where it's a screwless type.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of a little bit of the confusion with the myth, because they're starting to come out with these, just push-in only type devices, and I think the reason that I initially put that in the myth was because they don't have screws. So how can you say the screws are better if they're not even there? That might have been a poor statement. That the code does align with the manufacturer instructions. So if you're installing this per 406 10, then I'd say you're good to go.
And what I would say here on this is, if it has the screws, you use the screws. Okay? Because this is only mentioned in screwless type.
Right.
Okay? And you'll pick this up looking for your attachment plugs and receptacles. That's UL 498. And for your general use snap switches, you'll look at UL 20. So what I did, I put like a little montage here talking about this.
Nice. And David agrees with me that he's backstabbed receptacles February 1986, and those buildings are still standing today. So I agree. I don't think it's a big time fire hazard or anything. If you have a abnormal problem with the equipment, I think that receptacle has reached its end of life and needs to be replaced anyway.
Sure. And as I looked at this, I basically wrote it up like this. I said the short answer: use screws, not the backstab connections. And when you look at what's is recommended, because the code doesn't really get in. So as I was looking at screws, the thing that I thought about here was, first and foremost, you're going to have a much more secure connection.
True.
It's also going to help provide better conductivity, and it'll handle the loads better, and it's less likely to fail over time. And this is due to vibrations, heat cycles, and aging. Okay.
True.
And then when I looked at the backstab connections, what are the advantages? Well, first and foremost, they're faster to install, but they do have that spring tension in there, and that's
True.
going to be a weaker connection, and that will loosen over time.
I agree.
And then something you brought up also is higher resistance. It can lead to heat built up.
True.
So and as they've done research on this, as I was researching this, it has a common failure point. So as they've looked at this, they basically been able to trace this back to burn outlets and intermittent power issues. And it is all due to backstabbing devices. So
True.
the real world takeaway on this is, if it's a screwless type, then you got to. But otherwise, you should take and use screw terminals. Okay? Now,
Yeah, and I like that statement, how you're saying that the National Electric Code doesn't outright ban backstabs, but, us as electricians, like, that's the one big thing that I kind of wanted to bring out with this, is the NEC is not like a Bible that has all these rules that thou shalt not and thou shalt, there is in there, but yeah, as a general rule, I don't do it. I wouldn't teach my apprentice. I would teach my apprentice to use the screws and pigtail. I would say for the last probably, I would give or take probably like 25 years, like ever since I've had a journeyman license, I've pigtailed it and just put them on the screws.
Sure.
As a general practice.
And I sort of correlated the last part of this, that the push-in backstab terminals, when are they allowed? On a 15 amp circuit, they're number 14 solid copper wire only, and they have to be listed and labeled. If that was not a solid, you wouldn't backstab it anyway.
True.
And then, so to finish it off, basically, in other words, what's mean? You can't put it on a 20 amp circuit because those naturally require number 12. You're not allowed to use stranded wire, and not unless it's never going to be allowed unless the device specifically permits it.
True.
So those, and you can go look at UL 498. We actually had in our containers.
I want to say
here.
David might be on UL 498. I know he's on one of those 498 or 498 like cord connection plugs, but that's like so perfect symphony for the myth to be directed at one of the board members of 498. I don't know, David, if you're exactly on 498 or not, but I thought you said you were. I know you're on one of those committees. I know like 498A is like connection cords or something, but.
So when I looked at this, I thought about it, and I thought, I need to correlate this one more time with Article 406. Because that's where it comes from, and that's where it governs the installation rating and connection methods for those receptacles.
True.
So what does the code not say? Okay, and I put this in here because this is a part that people don't look at that trips them up when they're looking at this stuff. And basically, what does NEC not say? It says backstabs are good or preferred. It doesn't say that. It only
True.
says that they're permitted under limited conditions. And that's what we just talked about, that it didn't
True.
have screws on it. It was made for that. So.
Oh, he is on 498.
490, okay.
Oh, okay, cool. Right on, David. Awesome.
So
right up your alley, brother.
Looking at it as a big difference, and this is something that we need to post on where you did the miss, a link to this so people can see this information here.
True.
The code is the minimum acceptable requirements. Best practice is usually often higher than the NEC. So in field reality versus code, okay?
True.
If I'm going to take and I want to take and I want to use these backstabbing types, okay? What is the reality? You have smaller contact area. So if that's the case, that's going to create what? More
heat.
Resistance.
And heat.
Okay, and heat. Well, I got that as the third one.
Yeah.
The spring tension weakens over time, and there's more heat buildup when it's under load. And
True.
that sort of ties it in what is reality for the electrician out there in the field versus what you're looking at and you're trying to determine this based on the National Electrical Code.
True. Yeah, and what I really liked about this, thanks so much for putting it together. Are you still breaking out the myth of the weeks into individuals?
I hadn't been probably in about 3-4 months because I've been busy with other things.
Nice. No, I mean, it's no big deal, but I've been really bragging up IEC Rocky Mountain. I'm alumni. I was class of 1999, graduated, got my license. And like I say, they're a real excellent bunch over there. So they've been playing us in their classroom for the kids and for the students and stuff. And
really?
Like I say, big shout out to them, IEC Rocky Mountain. Very good program. And like I say, I hope you guys enjoy the myth of the week. And like I say, I'm trying to steer them towards the ones that are just broke out as myth of the week because I think they're more centered towards that why the code is the way it is. And like I say, a lot of times what you're going to run into with these backstab receptacles is if you're following the manufacturer instructions and the inspector passes it as that, there's really not much that the code can really override with that. Like I would look at that as like a situation where if I was an AHJ in this situation, I was inspecting a building, I saw they were backstabbing, I think I'd be fine with it as long as they follow what? Manufacturer's instructions. So, you know, like I say, I don't see very much reason as an AHJ being able to like overturn this and say that you cannot install backstab receptacles. So that's kind of why I did this. So myth busted. And like I say, I do agree with you, James. I do feel that this myth is false, that the backstabs are a weaker link than the screws. But from a general code perspective, I don't really see anything that forbids you from using the backstab method.
Sure. Let me rephrase earlier. It was the Raiders that picked Fernando Mendoza. Then the Jets took David Bailey, the edge out of Texas Tech.
Okay.
The Cardinals took Jeremiah Love, the running back from Notre Dame. And then
yeah, I knew the Raiders wanted Mendoza. I was like, man, I can't believe somebody else got him.
The Titans, yeah, that'd be the Titans. Then the Titans took Carnell Tate, the receiver, out of Ohio State.
Oh, he's gonna be on my fantasy. I like Tate, man. He's awesome.
So Jets are up.
Yeah, David. That 20 amp backstab was an issue. I can't remember exactly, King James. There was something with like the listing that they weren't listed for number 12, but I knew there was so many stories that I heard from like the job site where guys are like drilling them out for number 12 and making number 12 fit and stuff like that. And you know, anytime you're modifying the listing of a product like that, you're damaging the listing, then that's a code violation right there. So that's kind of what my whole point for this was this week, is just to kind of show how these guys are arguing a lot of this stuff when it's like, why, you don't just pick the code or the manufacturer instructions, they both go hand in hand. You have to pick both. And so that's kind of what I wanted to show, is that I don't think it's the same connection or as good a connection, but it's not a code violation. So
Right.
kind of interesting to go there this week. But like I say, I try to keep the audio short this week. Dude, that was so funny, man. I'm going to have to go back and throw it in the podcast, man. Like, I just couldn't believe how you just laid it down so good for him to show him, like, how you guys have been presenting it in your books and how much you've been, like, breaking it down to, you go down to the next standard size. You know, like, if I was out in the field and an inspector said, why'd you go to an 850? I'd be like, well, the code doesn't say I can't go to an 850. I'd fail inspection, you know. It's
He
just
tell
so
you put it at a 900, but like he said, his premises doesn't make any sense. Hell, if you're going to say that, I'd go down to a 20. I mean, are you that much of an idiot?
Yeah,
Oh, God.
it's pretty ridiculous. I think he had enough of us, and he blocked me on Facebook finally. So, like, cool, right on, bro. See ya, brother. You know, I really don't care. You know, that doesn't bother me. I'm not gonna change anything I'm doing. Like, he thought I had all these problems in, like, my personal life and stuff, and it's like, dude, I'm working like the greatest job I've ever worked in my whole life. I'm loving everything. Like, I don't have to work overtime. I work regular days. You know what I mean? We do our pace. We did a whole entire installation today, outdoor, probably like 100 foot of conduit in 3 hours, me and my first year apprentice.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of that. And we already pulled mule tape through, got our lengths, got everything ready. And it was just funny because, like, I mean, he was on my rear end. And I liked that. I was like, yeah, dude. I was like, that's where you should be. You know, you should be waiting for me to finish my part, because I start at one side, then he starts at the other side, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like he's doing 50 foot over there, and I'm doing 50 foot over here. And mine was, like, way more complicated, though. I had to, like, fish seal tight through, like, a soffit and change over to EMT. Then I came down to, like, an LL, and then went over to an LR, and had to go around a big J box. And mine was a little more tricky, but at the same time, he was still, like, you know, getting his pipe on the strut. I saw him doing that, because usually what I'll do is I'll put up about 20 foot on the strut, and then, you know, you could slide it back and forth, you know, when you're putting your 90 in and everything. Mm-hmm. And when he did that, I was like, oh, somebody's got some brains over here, you know. So it's pretty cool to see the lights start turning on the apprentices like that, you know. So big shout out to my apprentice. He's keeping up with me today, so that's what I like to see. So we'll move on to, what are you doing in your topic?
Yeah, let's roll.
All right.
All right. Well, this week, what we're going to get into is a whole lot of new articles. And what you're going to see is we start looking at this, and I'm not going to go through just everything, because basically it's just been pulled over. But
Right.
when I look at Article 265, this is where you're going to get into your branch circuits over 1,000 volts AC and 1,500 volts DC. And then the next one after this will be Article 266. Now, this used to be in Article 215, okay? And then 266, it used to be in Article 210, and it was at the back of the article. And so when I get to Article 266, it's going to deal with feeders, which used to be in Article 215. Then I'm going to get into Article 267, which is your outside branch circuits and feeders. And that was your old article. It was not old article, but was in Article 225. Then it's going to get into services, over 1,000 volts AC. That was in Article 230. And then Article 270 is grounding and bonding of systems over 1,000 volts AC. And that was at the back of Article 250. Okay.
So, question for you: is there a really common example that you can think of that would be like a over 1,000 volt branch circuit? Would that be like lighting, maybe neon lighting, or?
Well, you'll see some stuff that will pull over into this, and where that comes from is when you were looking at Article 495. That's where you got into your equipment over 1,000 volts.
Okay, so like maybe like a branch circuit to like a motor that's maybe 4160 or 13.8 or something. That would be considered a over 1,000 volt branch circuit.
Yeah, because when you get in and you start looking, let's just say I want to look at motors, for instance. When we were looking at our motors and everything, you get into your grounding for that, and you go over, and I think it's part 13 if I'm not mistaken, and it talks about grounding for the motors. It talks about all voltages. That's what the heading is. Okay. And then if I'm looking at protection of live parts, it just says all voltages. And I think that's what you're going to start seeing. But they did not create a separate article, because then they have a part 11 in Article 430, and it deals with over 1,000 volts AC. So what I think they did is, if it's a generalized specific piece of equipment that they're dealing with, they left the over 1,000 volts in that particular article and left it in that part. But when I'm generalizing for everything here where I'm in Chapter 2, they've actually separated it through each one of them. Okay.
Yeah, I guess my whole question would be like, why would they need to do this? Because I didn't think there was really too much confusion, and just for them to break out all this is kind of weird. It seems like kind of a not just really a common install. Like it would be a reason, like if it was like, oh well, yeah, I install 4160 to my receps all the time, then yeah, I could agree, but I just don't see us doing this a lot, really, to make it justified. I don't know.
Well, it's interesting because let me give you an example here. Look at this illustration. Okay, we're telling you here, if you're dealing with your metal enclosed switch gear, we tell you to go some extra sections to look at. Go look at 495.30 and 495.36 as an example. Okay.
Right.
And then we also have here where we're showing the guy suited up, and you got your racking in and out equipment here. We tell you to go look at 495.45 A and B as an example. Now, if you go over there and you look at 495 and you pick up 45 A and B, what does that deal with? And this is why we say you need to look at it, because that's going to deal with your circuit breakers and talking about your interlock type circuit breakers. And we talk about there, you could have just a regular circuit breaker that has been equipped with them stored energy mechanisms. And basically those items are designed to prevent what? The release of any stored energy.
True.
Okay.
There's a whole procedure on these. There's actually a different style equipment that you could show to that I've seen. Like I've actually installed this equipment before, and they actually make a crane that actually goes on the gear, and then you use that crane. And dude, they actually have ones that auto rack them in and out.
Oh, sure.
Where you don't even have to be in the room. And I thought that was really slick when I saw that. I was like, oh man, that's cool. It had a little trolley that went across, and then you just pick whatever breaker, or you pick whatever. But I think you still had to use that kind of similar equipment to get it in place, and then you would get it on that hook, and get it set to where it'd rack, and then you just go out, hit the chicken switch, and then it would rack it, and you didn't have to be in the building.
Yeah, and then they also have those circuit breakers where it's set up that you have mechanical interlocks in place.
True.
So, and they recognize both of those when you're dealing with that. And then say I'm looking at that and right there, and I say, okay, well, what when I'm looking at the metal enclosed switchgear and it tells me to look at 495.30.
Right.
Well, what does that deal with? All that gets into that is a general requirement over there in part 3, where you're dealing with your switchgear, substation, and industrial control assemblies.
Right.
And basically, it just tells you that it applies to those equipment, and it's including, but it's not limited to certain items there. And those items is where you get into your switches and interrupting devices plus their controls. Then you got like metering equipment, protection equipment. You got interconnections and supporting structures. There's a lot of, even integral to the equipment, you also have regulating equipment in there. So
yeah, dude, we had this shit was so smart. Like that right there, what you're showing, they have these things that go in those. They're called joules, and you go and you have a joule that's programmed to whatever it's controlling. And so you say, okay, I put those conductors from that rack section out to like a 4160 motor. I think the one we did was like a 1100 horse, or I can't remember. It was a huge motor. There was one that was like 600 horse. And so what you do is that motor comes with the joule, and you just put that joule in that rack. And then it automatically, and you just scan a barcode on the motor, and it automatically knows everything about the motor. It knows like its TCC, time characteristic. It knows every single thing about that motor. It's crazy, like in a second. And it's like, it's programmed. Like it doesn't even have to be, like you just, like all those rack devices that you see there, they're all the same. And then all you do is you just put the joule in there, and then it sets the ampacity, it sets the overcurrent, it sets the overload, it sets everything. It's automatically programmed within 10 seconds.
Sure.
Like, I was blown away. Like, I've never seen anything like that. It says programming, and then boom, and then you're ready to turn it on.
And what's interesting about this is, and this is a part 2 that goes to this, but when you get in, and let's say I'm looking at 265.19, now I want to point something out. If I go look at branch circuits in 210.19, that's where you pick up the minimum ampacity and size, right?
Yeah.
So they're sort of keeping together. The overcurrent protection is in 210.20 for 1,000 volts or less. Here over 1,000 volts, it's 265.20. So when you go over and look at that, what does it say when I'm dealing with the minimum ampacity and size? Well, you got your general requirement that's still there that talks about when you're determining what the ampacity is for the branch circuit conductors. It tells you it shall not be less than what? 125% of the designated potential load for that utilization equipment that is going to be operated simultaneously. And then they drop down to B, and you deal with supervised installations, and you got to have qualified persons with documented training and experience, of course.
True. One thing I think that's important, and you kind of brought up something that kind of clicked in my head. So that motor I was talking about, I think it was like 600 horse, 4160 or something. I think it was 15 amps. So why are you going to sit there and say like, oh man, you can't, Weed Man to sit there and say you can't put that on a 14 amp circuit, on a 15 amp circuit, you know what I mean? You can't use number 14 wire. Well, yeah, no kidding, you got to use 4-aught, so maybe that is something that's necessary to, split it out for something different. That way we don't get these idiot instructors out there that misinterpret the code and say that, you can't do something when it's over 1,000 volts. You can do it all day and twice on Sunday.
Sure. And this is why you go in and you look at this stuff, because all they've really done here is just taken out requirements that we're used to using. And you got some of the, I mean, there are going to be some differences because you're dealing with over 1,000 votes as far as calculations are concerned. But this just sort of lays it out and gives you an idea of what you're looking at. And, we show here where you got a motor branch circuit coming over, setting up your disconnecting means and everything. You still see, I'm still in Article 430 for all them controllers and everything, but bringing the feeder over to it, I'm looking at 266.4 and then tying in 266.19 and 266.20.
Yeah, and the one thing I noticed, you will see this stuff, like if you guys that are out in gas and oil, you will see this stuff out in gas and oil, but rarely in commercial will you ever see like anything over 1,000 volts be used for a branch circuit. It's almost always feeder distribution.
Sure. And then you go into 266, and this is where you're going to deal with, oh wait, I had a part 3 here. I forgot about that. And that's that. Let me pull this one up real quick, because the reason we went ahead and put this in here, and I want everybody to pay real close attention to what I'm going to show you here.
Looks like you got a mill right there balancing that sucker.
Yeah, well, the reason that we set this up, because this mainly, part 3 is only one section. It's 265.63, but it gets into where it talks about equipment requiring servicing.
Right.
Okay. And it just tells you, just like if I was working on an AC or something, it had to be accessible within 25 foot. Okay. And they talk about, and A deals with heating, air conditioning, refrigerating equipment. And then B deals with other electrical equipment that's located indoors. Okay.
Gotcha.
But what we wanted to point out here, it's one thing we're showing you this, but when you're working on this equipment being serviced and everything, I still have to look at it as it being a qualified person and seeing what the requirements are per NFPA 70E to be qualified. And then you also want to look at OSHA 1910.399 for that definition.
Well, and there's one other thing that I noticed from that illustration that you have to be.
What's that?
You have to be a lemon head.
No,
So.
wow. I'm always doing it the different way.
No, just kidding. But I was giving Bob Cook a bunch of crap because everyone called him Lemonhead and wore that yellow hard hat.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that's funny.
Okay, 266 deals with your feeders. Okay, and when you go over and you pick up your feeders, I think there's like 7 sections there, 6 or 7, I can't remember. But they basically pulled this from Article 215, and there's no parts or anything there. And when you go look at 266.4, that's where you're going to get in and you're going to deal with the minimum ampacity and size. And it'll talk about feeders supplying transformers, where you have feeders that supply transformers and utilization equipment. And then they also talk about supervised locations. And 266.5 is going to tighten out. You got to pay real close attention here, because it's going to talk about the overcurrent protection, but it's going to refer you back to 245.26.
Right.
Okay. And that's where you get into your location and type of protection for your feeders and branch circuit conductors.
Right.
Okay. So one other thing I will point out that they did put in there, and it's a pretty big part, it's going to be 266.12, and that's where you're going to get into the identification for your feeders. And when you get over there, it's like I've told everybody this many, many times. If I have a grounded conductor, it's white, gray, or white or gray with any other color stripes on it other than green. And then and it'll refer you to 200.7 to get that information. And then if I'm dealing with equipment grounding conductor, it'll tell you to go look at 250.119. And that's where it's green, or one or more yellow stripes are bare. And then you get into your identification of your ungrounded conductors, and then it's going to drop you down, and it's going to talk about where your feeder's supplied from more than one nominal voltage system. I've covered that before for everybody, giving an example on that. And then when you pick up 2, that's where you're going to get in where your feeders that are supplied from DC systems, and then they'll break it down to where you have your positive polarity, where your sizes are number 6 or smaller, and then your negative polarity where their sizes 6 or smaller.
Nice.
So it breaks it all down exactly the same way. And that information that was over in Article 215 for over 1,000 votes has been moved to Article 266.
Yeah, and I think that King James is right. You have to pay attention because King James uses his model off of Bob Cook, and Bob Cook used to wear like a yellow hard hat, and it's kind of like a story from way back. But when we were over at the plant, everyone would be like, "Go get Lemonhead and Bill." It's so funny. They called him Lemonhead. And he finally had to take the hard hat off. He couldn't wear the yellow hard hat anymore. They made him wear a blue one. That's funny.
That's funny.
Yeah. It was. I couldn't believe it when he went up and he's like, we had some safety incident happen, and he put on his yellow hard hat and came walking up, and they're like, "Go take that thing off and go get your right hard hat on." It was so funny. That was when Lemonhead was dead. Everyone still called Lemonhead after that, though.
All right, what we did here, we did get in, and there's some shielding stuff here that you got to worry about. People that deal with these outside branch circuits and feeders, and we actually draw the device here and everything, and we talk about the connection of the cable shields and access space for attaching those safety grounds. So when you get out and you start dealing with these outside branch circuits feeders, you got to look at your conductor insulation for an example. So they tell you if you're within 10 foot of any type of building or structure, and these are other than where you have supporting poles or towers, they tell you that when you have these open aerial individual overhead conductors, that they are required to be insulated for whatever that nominal voltage is. And then they tell you if the insulation of those conductors and those cables or raceways where they're installed in wet locations, they're going to tell you to go look at 310.10C. And when you go over there and you look at 10C, it talks about your different type of insulated conductors and cables used in wet locations. And they're going to tell you they have to be a moisture impervious metal sheet, or you have to use a type that's listed for use in wet locations, or they'll give you types there like RHW, THW, THW, NTHHW, XHHW. You're going to get those type of conductors that are listed over there. Then they tell you if you're going to use any of those conductors where you're going for overhead spans and you have open individual conductors there, they tell you that they cannot be smaller than what? Number 6. And if they're aluminum, they're number 8. Okay? So they basically break all this down for you to be able to follow along, and we put a couple little things in there for you to think about when you're doing this. Another thing that's probably important too is they also took and they've got 267.18, and this is where you get in talking about the clearance of the conductors where you're over roadways,
True.
Open land, water, walkways, rails, things like that. But this is where it's 22 kV or less to ground. So in other words, if I was going over, say, let's say I'm out and I have agriculture out there and I'm cultivating the land, or it could be for grazing, anything like that, they'll tell you those type of conductors have to be at least 18.5 foot above ground.
Gotcha.
Okay. So those are things that you want to think about. There's other things where you have special cases there where they're talking about crossings where you have crossings that are going over, say, lakes, rivers, or any type of areas where you have large vehicles. So when I think of large vehicles, you're thinking about vehicles that are in like mining operations.
True.
Well, based on those, that'll be based in as a special circumstance, and that'll be approved by the authority having jurisdiction.
Okay. And speaking of authority having jurisdiction, it looks like David kind of ran into something. Tangent alert: can feeder taps pass through a watt meter? Interesting. Feeder taps passing through a watt meter.
No.
That's interesting. I don't know that you could do that. I mean,
no, you can't do that because that's utility owned, and you can't pass their own watt meter like that.
Gotcha.
That I'm trying to think here in Texas. I can't remember the rule, but they tell you don't put anything in there but stuff other than what's going to connect to supply the service.
Yeah, and we went over this. Actually, some gentlemen from my company called me, said they had an issue, and it was utility conductors, and they're like, "What's our clearance?" And I was all, "Call the utility." I was like, because like they're like, "Well, we looked in the code. It's definitely a code violation." I was like, you know what? I was like, utility can create code violations all they want, as long as they're the ones that are dealing with it, and they might just say no. But at the same time, you're talking to the wrong person if I'm going to be going looking at National Electric Code.
Yeah, there's I can tell you here, you wouldn't do that here in Texas.
True.
I think the
wouldn't do it here in
utilities will have
Colorado
a rule.
either. That's definitely a violation of the utility here. as well.
Okay. Now, looking at the second part, this is where you'll see we get in, we talk about disconnecting means group there and all of that. And there's a lot here. We just sort of combined all of this because this is where you had a transformer outside, and you'll see I've grouped the disconnects here, and I'm going feeding different things here. Okay. Now, one of the things I want to point out here is if I go over and say I looked at Article 230 and I look at 230.4 and I get into my number of services. Well, I don't want to say
Is that
number
the
of
six
services.
handle rule? Is that six handle rule?
No, well, to a
Kinda.
point. That's not where it's getting into this. This is number of services, what you can feed. Okay.
One of those,
So-
my apprentice hasn't even piped it yet.
Well, let me give you an example of this. When you get over and you look at the number of supplies, so, and in other words, to have an additional feeder or branch circuits, there has to be a reason. Okay.
Right.
Now, what are some of your reasons? Well, it could be a fire pump.
True.
It could be an emergency system, legally required standby system, optional standby system. You got your power, parallel power production systems. And then you could have a system that has been designed for connection to multiple sources of supply. And the reason they do that, that's where you get in to have an enhanced reliability. So in other words, you may have, say, 12208 coming to the building and then have it coming again to the building. Well, the reason that it's a separate power source because you're maybe feeding computers, things like that you don't want on the other system because it's enhancing the reliability of the system. See what I'm saying?
True.
Another one that has become very important is where you have docking facilities and piers
Right.
because it's so spread out.
Yeah.
Okay. So those are a lot of them. Then they get in and they talk, like we look at 230, well, it used to be 230.2, now it's 230.4. but special occupancies, for instance, and this is where you have special permission. They could allow it for multiple occupancy buildings where there is no space available for the supply equipment for that would be accessible to the occupants there. Well,
Yeah.
a good example of this is tying this back in with 230.4 exception 2 as an example, because they may take a multi-occupancy building and the rule is no more than 6 throws of the hand. But I may have, say, and usually here in Texas, we'll allow you to move over a foot and put up to 6 outside feeders over there to that building, no more than 36 throws of the hand. So you would do 6 for each one, and you'd have 6 different feeders going over to that building.
Right.
Okay. Then it could be just a big single building or some type of structure where it's so large that it makes it necessary to have 2 or more supplies to that building. Okay.
Right.
Another one is different characteristics. You could have different voltages, frequencies, phases, or something that's for different uses. So I could be coming to that building with, say, 122.08 and also 482.77.
True.
Okay, so that gives you an idea. This just sort of breaks this down into this area where you're dealing with buildings or other structures that are supplied by your outside branch circuits or feeders. And another thing that'll pick up, it'll talk about in 267.31, which is the disconnecting means. And you get into sort of the same requirements that you're looking at. The only difference that you get into here is they'll talk about where you have multifamily or multi-building, I'll say multifamily, multi-building industrial installations that are under single management. Okay.
Right.
Those type, they're permitted to be electrically operated, but it has to be readily accessible, a remote control device in the separate building or structure.
Yeah, and dude, I do think so, like a lot of these changes are kind of like necessary, but man, the 2026, it kind of jaded me because I was looking at it like, when are you ever doing that? Like, and it's just like from me being out in the field and being in like gas and oil projects, like, you know, they're sitting there, oh man, this medium voltage equipment has to be listed now. Mm-hmm. Dude, none of my stuff that I installed, it never got listed. Like, I mean, we went out there, like, I had an inspector actually witness the torque when I torqued it, but nothing was listed about it, you know. And the thing was, like, we would go out there and we would chop bus bars out of old gear. Like, it wasn't old, but what we'd have is we'd have all these buildings show up pre-assembled. Mm-hmm. And they'd be pre-assembled wrong. Like the bus bars would be going to the left, we need them going to the right. You know, all kinds of stuff was wrong. And so what we do is, like, a lot of times we just scrap a lot of that stuff, just throw it in a pile out in some yard, and then we'd start from scratch and we just build it ourselves, you know? Yeah. So we'd be like, nah, we need it like this, and these bus bars have to connect like this, and we have to do this. And then we'd go rebuild that whole thing, and we'd have a third-party AHJ, come out and witness us torque every single connection to it. Sure. They would measure, like, everything they could, like, whatever we could do to make it work. And those guys were really on the hook when it came to stuff working, because when we threw that switch, it better work. And I always have this joke that I always say out in gas and oil. They got a brand new dirt bike. They don't care if it has gas in it. They don't care if it's pre-mixed. They don't care if it has air in the tires. They're taking their first jump. They don't care. You better make sure that dirt bike gets off the ground and they at least get a 10 foot of air, whatever, 6 inches of air, whatever it is. They better get some air on their first jump. And, that was our job out in gas and oil, is to make sure that dirt bike at least go down the ramp and take a little bit of a jump. It didn't have to be a perfect jump, didn't have to be high, just enough to where they're like, all right, cool, we can jump this dirt bike, And then what happens is you go back and now you have to start fixing the dirt bike because they jumped it too soon, And it's a really good analogy, especially in commercial too. Is that building that you're building? That's their dirt bike, and they don't care. They just want to take their first jump, and they want to take that first jump on a certain day. And you better make sure that they take that jump on that day. So that's my analogy with a dirt bike and commercial and industrial.
Well, Dallas just moved up one. It looks like I have a feeling they're about to go get the edge from Miami.
Okay.
Reuben Bain Jr., I think that's who's about to be drafted. That's a big hit.
All right.
Let's get
Cool.
Tool of the Week.
All right, let's do it.
It's time for Tool Review of the Week. Sponsored by Electricians Only Tool Review and Nipex Tradesman.
So is that one of the first round picks that Dallas got for the Packers?
I think so.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so this is really awesome. I'm actually on the waiting list. This tool is not out yet, but this is really cool. So it's a Packout. It snaps right on your Milwaukee Packout, and then you just put your wire reels in there. This will work out really good for the way we have stuff set up. So what we do is we lag our wire off onto like a single spool. We're running I think it's like two 30 amp circuits most of the time. Sometimes we're running single 60, sometimes we're running single 40. But we lag it off. We basically put a true tape through. Then we figure out what our length is. And then what I'll do is I'll lag it onto a spool. This would be awesome. This would be so perfect because then all we have to do is just lag it off onto that spool, put it in our pack out, toss it on our cart, go down there and pull the wire. We're done. And it's just so practical. This is not out yet. I actually signed up for the waiting list on this. But when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, that's going on my pack out, you know. It's really a really handy thing. And what's nice is a lot of times what's really hard about like pulling wire like this is you're not going to be able to lift that thing with that many reels in there. So it's nice that you're able to go and bring all the reels separately, set that thing up, and then, you know, pull your wire. So a lot of the apprentices don't know. They're like, man, I can't even move the pack out. It's like, take the wire out, then move it, you know? So it's that kind of thing that I really think is cool. There's so much accessories that come with this that's really cool. You can set it up for one big spool. You can set it up like it's shown here with, you know, multiple number 12s. I feel bad for this guy because he must, you know, not know that, you know, he's got some different voltage in there, you know, but I was just joking about, you know, he's got yellow in there for some reason. I don't know why they put that in there. I mean,
It looks like you can roll it around, can't you?
well, on the pack out it does, because what it does is snaps onto your pack out. So like my pack out's almost like a dolly.
Right.
And so, yeah, like I wouldn't have to lift this, obviously, because I just click it on my pack out and then I just roll it like a dolly.
Yeah.
But
Got it.
that's what's really awesome is there's all these different inserts that go in there, and you can put individual spools like this. You know, if you feel frisky, you just throw yellow in there because you want to. But I mean, to me, I don't think I would have put the yellow in there. Like, I might have put a blue in there, or maybe it like, I don't know. I think that was like a weird color to put in there. Maybe a pink or a purple for like a switch leg or something. But I thought when I saw that yellow, I was like, what do they have yellow in there for? That's weird. But like I say, I think this is going to come out within the next month, and I will have this on my pack out, and this will be a really handy tool to have where we could just wheel it in and out wherever we're going, and pull our wire. And like I say, really handy tool. Not yet a review, and I might actually come back and do a follow-up review on it. So, you know, everyone can jump on the train and get their pack out all pimped out like Willie's pack out, and Like I say, you be pimp like me if you get that sucker, because I'm gonna be the first one on the block to get that thing. So,
Pimp it out.
yeah, just letting everyone know, getting the word out on the street. This one, dude, I know I'm not fooling you on this one. I know, but I might fool AI. I don't know. AI has, dude, has there even been one wrong in a while? I don't think there's been one wrong in a while. I think AI is watching this show now. I think my secret's out. I think I'm gonna have to do something different. I have to go undercover or something to try to fool AI. But we'll see. Well, this one's gonna be easy. This one's slam dunk for you. So
All right, let's see.
yeah.
For years, man tried to create artificial intelligence. On this segment, we find out, is AI smarter than King James?
All right, let's
Yeah,
see what you got this week.
This one's easy. This easy.
Oh, it's not even multiple choice. Okay.
Oh, did I not? Oh,
Raising
Yeah.
two holes, flashpoint.
maybe that's why I was like trying to. Maybe that's how I was trying to confuse AI. Not even do multiple choice.
I think it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but I think in order for you to pick this up, I'm not like 100% sure on this. Normally, what most people would think here is to look at like Article 500, or you would go look at the definitions, and they basically don't have that stuff anymore. So when you're looking at this and you're getting into your gases and stuff, I think you have to go over and you need to look at Article 511. And the only place I can think of it mentions this is like 511.5B in the 26, but I think it used to be 3B, but I think they moved it to 5. And it talks about repair garages with dispensing, and that's where they get in and talk about the flash point, and they mention gasoline at 100 degrees Fahrenheit. In order for you to know the rest of this information, this is where you've got to go over and look at NFPA 497. So when you go over and look at NFPA 497, you're going to want to go to Chapter 3. That's where the definitions are. And when you pick up the definitions over there, you're probably going to look at combustible liquid is where you're going to get it. And it's going to talk about where you have any liquid that you're dealing with that closed cup flash point.
Right.
And it says at or above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. But in order to do that, you have to do that based on test procedures. And
Right.
when you're dealing with those test procedures, those the apparatus that you use to do that test procedure is set up in NFPA 30.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I'm going to go with 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but I'm not 100.
Oh, you're copying David? Oh man, you're copying David Engelhart now. Oh, okay. All right. He said 100 is the, right answer here. I don't know why I didn't set it up like multiple choice, but I think I wanted to like kind of see if I could get ChatGTP with, like actually answering a question instead of just choosing a multiple choice one.
Yeah. Let me share screen. Let's see what ChatGPT went with here. Let me get over here. Let me share it here. Okay, let me increase the size and see what it's. Let me space that right there. I was doing it too fast. All right, let's see what it says.
It's been really good.
I'd say 100 degrees, just like I was stating, but it doesn't give a section here. So
it got it right.
let me ask you, what is the national electrical code section for this response?
Yeah, we did one, David. I did one like a long time ago where I asked what's the difference between a combustible liquid and a flammable liquid, and it's like 1 degree.
See
One's
there,
like over 100 and others under 100.
it says 514.3A.
I don't think that's right. I want to say it's 5. So 514 is fuel dispensing stations, correct?
Yeah, but that's why I was saying, what section did you have it at?
It's 514.6 possible, or no, it's 514.4B, I believe. Well, we could check link to see for sure. I think it was 514.4C possibly. It's in there. I think it's in 514.4.
Yeah,
I'm guessing.
you're.
It's in fuel dispensing stations, I believe.
Yeah,
but
that's what I was saying. Okay, 514.5A, unclassified locations.
Yep, there you go.
See, that's what I was saying. That most people would think of that because you're classifying the location. You had to be in Article 500, but it does not do that. Now, back up to about 3 code cycles back, they used to get into explaining this more in detail. Now, when you go over, they don't do that anymore. What they do is they talk about having MIC ratios and MSEGs and all of that, and what those ratings are. But in order to determine that for the closed cup flash point, you need to correlate that with testing procedures in accordance with NFPA 30.
100%. I agree with that. David has a interesting situation where we're talking about feeder taps in the watt meters, and he's saying that the code actually says that the tap is to terminate to the overcurrent device 1600 amp, 2000 amp. There are other scenarios about the metering device to consider. So I got you, David. I'm smelling your dog, man. I'm feeling you. But did it? I mean, at least we got ChatGPT on the wrong code reference, because that's what I'm trying to tell the apprentices out there is, if you guys are doing your homework on ChatGPT, you're gonna get wrong on some stuff. So you have to be real careful using ChatGPT, just thinking you're gonna get the right answer every time. So ChatGPT got the right answer on 100 degrees, but it got the wrong code reference. So if we were asking for a code reference, what did you say, King James? It would have been 514.5A?
Yep.
Okay. So 514.5A.
And that's why I was stating that. You know, I was saying you got to look over, and 513 makes reference to it also, but it was also 5B. It wasn't 3. Like I was saying, that was in the previous. And I said, you have to go to one of those that actually talks about the gasoline. So you would be looking at one of those 2 articles to get that information.
So big shout out to all the students over there at IEC RM Rocky Mountain. You guys will not get wrong homework because of King James. So he shut down the AI machine this week. So.
Shit, I didn't realize he was there. Guess who the Cowboys got? Great pick. Yeah, you're gonna be mad when I tell you.
I gotta look.
You ain't gonna believe I don't blame him for trading to get him moving up one spot.
Who's that?
I thought they were gonna get Reuben Bain Jr., but I like this pick better. I forgot he was even available. Some had him as a top 5 pick.
All right. Should I do drum roll? No, just kidding.
Great pickup, man. Caleb Downs, a safety from Ohio State.
Ooh.
What a
right.
pickup. What a
Wow.
pickup.
Wow, all right.
I'm okay with that pick. Oh, hell yeah. I can't believe they got him.
So this week I forgot the drum roll, so it's gonna have to be the Dixie.
No worries. Let's
For
go
the
ahead
quiz.
and let's cue up the Willie quiz.
Dude, I'm telling you that walking at the airport has really got me buffed out, bro. I'm really tearing it up out there. All right, so in Russia, what bizarre rule applies to dirty cars? A, you must wash your car every 3 days. B, driving a dirty car can result in a fine. C, you must carry a cleaning kit at all times. D, only white cars must be kept clean. Or E, police will commonly write messages in the dirt. Good luck, everyone.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I have no freaking clue.
Dude, I know you love these ones though. Like like every time I'm like, man, what can I do? And then I'm just like, all right. I was like, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him this week, and Daniel's gonna take the win. I can see it. Got it.
This is, God, B is the natural answer, but I don't think that's it. I'm going to go with D. You have a white car.
All right. Daniel gets the correct answer. Driving a dirty car can result in a fine in Russia. And so, we have 2 correct answers. David Englehart gets a win too. So King James is down 0-1 so far to start. Man, not such a good start for King James and the Dallas Stars. All right. So question number 2, in Thailand, which technically illegal while driving? A, eating street food. B, driving barefoot. C, driving shirtless. D, honking excessively. Or E, having plants in your passenger seat. That came out wrong on the thing. I'm glad you fixed it. But good luck, everyone.
Well, I will disregard honking excessively because
David goes there. He wants honking excessively. Oh man. Oh man. If you're wrong, sheesh.
I'm gonna go. God, I have no idea. I'll go with C.
All right, so Daniel goes with C. So David Englehart could take the lead tonight. And C is correct. So David Englehart drops one, and now Daniel's up 1 on King James. So we have a really nice tiebreaker this week. So we'll check it out. In Germany, which of the following can get you in trouble on the Autobahn? Is it A, driving too fast? Is it B, running out of gas? Is it C, using the cruise control? Is it D, playing loud music? Or is it E, changing lanes excessively? Good luck, everyone.
I've actually been on the Autobahn, and I would have to think it would be changing lanes excessively, because you're supposed to stay in the right lane the whole time, and everybody that's going fast is in the left, so you wouldn't be changing lanes excessively.
True. And yeah, that is true. Let's see. We have David's going E. Daniel's going E. King James is going E. You all are wrong. The answer is B, running out of gas. And
Really?
the reason they say is because they say it's avoidable, that you shouldn't be running out of gas on the Autobahn. So that's like the biggest problem they say is you do not run out of gas on the Autobahn. So Daniel's still up by 1. Have a good game so far. All right, question number 4. In Australia, specifically some regions, what strange potato-related law exists? Is it A, potatoes cannot be transported across state lines without permission? B, eating fries while driving is illegal. Pretty sure it said that. C, potatoes must be stored in the trunk. D, you must declare potatoes at gas stations. Or E, potato bags over 50 pounds are not allowed to be transported by car. Good luck, everyone.
Well, you know, it's in.
I was hoping that you were going to be like, oh man, I've been to Australia. I had a potato bag in my trunk one time.
I haven't been there,
Oh man.
but I know there's been certain laws about weight transportation of
True.
certain items. I'll go with E.
Yeah.
That just
he's
sounds like
one.
a good one.
He's a good one. Have not heard Daniel yet. We have David Englehart is going A. Potatoes cannot be transported across state lines without permission. That's a good answer,
I thought
David.
about that one.
That's a good answer. Let's see what Daniel says. Daniel is going. Let's see. Where is Daniel? Did Daniel go E? I think Daniel went E. I think Daniel. Oh yeah. Daniel's going E. He's agreeing with King James.
Well, I know there's some laws that have been out like that before, certain weight on certain items. That's the only reason I know some countries have a law like that, but I don't know if this is an Australian law or not.
David Englehart has a good answer with A. Potatoes cannot be transported across state lines without permission. So, Man, this is awesome. We have a tie game. This is so much fun. Or no, actually, you're down 1 now.
Yeah,
You're still down 1. So David Englehart and Daniel are tied. We have question number 5. In Japan, what could get a driver fined during rainy weather? A, driving too slowly. B, splashing pedestrians with water. C, not using windshield wipers. D, using high beams. E, doing cookies in the parking lots. Good luck, everyone.
Doing cookies. I ain't never heard it that way.
Dude, you do cookies. You do cookies in the rain in Texas. We do donuts in the snow up here in Colorado.
How about donuts? I never heard that. Okay. I guess if I was looking at this, I guess if you splash somebody with water, sounds good to me. Because I know in Japan they're sort of proper and everything, and that'd be considered hateful, you know.
All right, so David's saying C is a no-brainer. He's taking C. Yeah, it is a no-brainer, C. Daniel is going B. So let's see what we have here. King James and Daniel get a correct answer, and Daniel takes the win tonight. What an amazing show. Oh man, I cannot believe this quiz came down to the wire like this. Daniel takes the win. What an amazing time. David Englehart with a close second. King James ties with David Englehart. David Englehart ties with King James. That's so amazing. It is so awesome. I cannot believe this is like such a close contest. Should we try for the tiebreaker question? And this is for David Englehart mostly, but
Okay.
King James too. If we get a tie, then the guest still takes the win, but we'll go with the tiebreaker. So in Denmark, there is a noise ordinance for how loud you can slam your door. What decibel level is that decibel level?
I guess I'll just golly.
Daniel's gonna probably have to answer if he wants to be the decisive winner tonight, but I'm still giving Daniel the win because, dude, he had a ridiculous tie.
I'll say 30 decibels. That
30.
Sounds, yeah, I'll go 30 decibels. That sounds okay.
David's going 80. Ooh, David's definitely high number. Let's see what Daniel goes. We have. Oh, Daniel takes the win at 60 dB. David went over by 80. 60 dB. Oh, dude, 40 dB, bro, man. And 40 dB is not even that loud. Like our fire alarm horn strobes are at 75 dB. That's not loud.
Yeah, fire alarms. I mean, that's still pretty. That's why I was like 30, 35. I was thinking.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, so to put it in contrast, and I actually did this, and you guys can actually do this out there if you're like nerding out like me. You can go get a dB app on your phone and scream in it as loud as you possibly can, and it's 80 dB. I try to do jet engines at the airport with my dB meter, and it's not even 80 dB. Like, I'm driving right next to them with my dB meter out. It's not even 80 dB. They say that jet engine is like 1,000 or whatever. They say it's like really high. They say it's like 110. Not anymore. Like, I was out there DIA driving around with my DB meter, it's not 110 anymore.
Yeah.
It probably used to be, but it's not anymore. I mean, they're loud, but they're not that loud.
Yeah.
So, awesome quiz. Congratulations, Daniel. I will expect you. Yes, 60 dB is the correct answer. So, just so you know, David Englehart, on our tiebreaker, it's the closest answer without going over. I was so surprised King James went 30. I thought he was going to go more like 50 or something, but it's the thing is where we run into in construction, just for all you nerds, construction nerds out there, anytime you're over 80 dB, you're supposed to be wearing earplugs. So, and that's for like an 8-hour shift. And then I think they said something if it's over 90 dB for over 2 hours or more, you're supposed to be wearing earplugs. So for all you little OSHA nerds out there like me, make sure you have your earplugs if it's over 80 dB. And, you know, dude, awesome. Thanks for joining us on the quiz. That was awesome having David jump in.
Yeah.
And like I say, it's really cool. I do a little bit of research to put together the quiz, and I am definitely 100% trying to pull King James every week as much as I possibly can. But I had some good ones. The Man vs. Machine, I kind of liked not doing it multiple choice, like trying something different. But at the same time, like I know I did Nat King Code. I did a long time, like no multiple choice or nothing. I just did straight answer like that, and it was pretty fun too. So, yeah. So,
Yeah, that's what, because that's what I was thinking because when I was doing all the safety out at Texas Instruments, they had it at 80 dB, and so I just went down below that, and I thought, well, I almost went 40, but I said, well, 30 definitely won't be over. So I didn't want to go over.
yeah, I really like how Daniel played it safe. Like he just wanted to be higher than you, but to me, 60 dB is ridiculous. Like, but at the same time, like, how would you be calling the cops on somebody closing the door? I guarantee you might be if you're my kids, because my kids close the door really hard, like, and they don't just close the door. They're like, oh, I forgot something. And then, oh, man, I forgot something else. You know, that'd be like, can you get the 5-0 over here and get the Snyder family, you know, back in their house without closing another door quietly? You know, so I could see it. I could see it in my house, man. My kids close the door hard, man.
Yep.
But it is what it is. But, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thanks so much for joining, David. And as tradition would have it, I have to do a pickle shot for Adam. Big shout out to Team SOS Podcast. I haven't seen Adam streaming a lot lately, but I always pop in. He had a meme made about me that I was like one of the emojis for his podcast and stuff, so it's really cool. Big shout out to you, Adam. You made the intro to this, and big shout out to you, Adam. You are the man, and I hope you have a blessed day, sir.
All right, last thing, Wall of Shame. Roll it.
Shame. 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 Shame.
Yeah, so David, you could go on like your smartphone and you could just download a DB app, and then it'll pull up, like, there's a whole bunch that's like DB meter. Like, I did it just as like because I'm a nerd like that, but I just went to try to see like how loud is it really at the airport, because everyone's always have earplugs and stuff. I'm like, maybe because they say like a jet engine is like louder than a concert. Nah, no, not anymore. But that's why I did it. So yeah, you could go over there, David, and download a DB app. Dude, this is hilarious. Like, when I saw it, it's like, what are they doing? Like, what's the point of the, you know, in-use cover? Like, what do they think of their code compliant with? Like, they haven't built the wall yet or something. Like this was at like a public venue, I guess, is what the guy was saying in there. So, you know, thanks a lot for Scott Ploss posting that. But he just walked by and was like, "What?" and took a picture of it, and I was like, "That's freaking amazing!" Like, so what you have is just like a residential NEMA 1 nail-in box in there, and then you go and put like all your 3R you know, weatherproof stuff on it. Like, that's gonna change anything. And we've actually covered that myth before, where it's like if you install a enclosure, that's gonna be an outlet, right, King James? You install an outlet in a wet location, the inside of the outlet is the wet location.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at that and I'm trying to think to myself, why did he do that?
That's ridiculous. I would have just used a bell box and put it right on. You could mount a bell box just like that, right there.
Sure, you could. I don't understand why it was. Well,
Yeah, it's a head scratcher. It looks like they even notched the wood to get it in there too.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, what? Or maybe even just put different boards in, like they went around it somehow.
It's like they put them in to provide protection for it.
Yeah, like something weird. But I don't know.
I don't like that. That should have been done totally different.
Yeah, and dude, awesome, David. Man, thanks so much. Dude, David, you are freaking welcome here anytime. Congratulations on winning the death match. It was my idea. It took a long time to get it where we wanted it. And like I say, I'm glad that you won it. The money's going to somebody awesome. And sorry for the long delay to the person that there was 2 winners. I guess, was it a tie?
Yeah, it was a tie. We were going to have a runoff. God never replied. I think it was somebody that come on there to look at the questions and stuff, fake name, one of the ECD boys, and that's why they're not responding to me. That's okay. I gave them a week and a half to respond. No response. You respond now. Too late.
Yeah, it's awesome. And like I say, I really think that we're making AI better by doing the man versus machine segment, and I think we're doing it in kind of a really rounded area where we're, kind of, going in, looking at the code. What does AI say? Because, dude, AI even got a right code response. Like, I don't think they have a right code reference, like, for a long time. Like, I think maybe at one time, like, 6 months ago or something, got the right code reference. But, that's the thing that we're trying to do, is, like, that well-rounded, like, we want the right code reference, we want the right answer. Like, we don't get on ChatGPT just to get a right answer. We get the code reference, where it's at, where it's located, everything. And, I think I got you on the code reference this week. But at the same time, it was like you knew where the reasoning was behind it. And that's kind of what I want my apprentices to do, is kind of think like King James and think like, hey, well, I know in this section, that 100, we actually proved Google wrong on that. When we first did that, you remember, I think I asked a question, what's the difference between a combustible liquid and a flammable liquid? And it's 1 degree.
1 degree, that's it.
It's 99 over here and it's 100 over here,
That's right.
And so Google didn't even know that when we did it. And it was real fun to do these podcasts, have you guys hang out with us. I really appreciate it. I know King James is itching to go hang out and watch the draft. I'm itching to go watch.
Got 3 picks. I'm going to see the second pick for the Cowboys. So let's wrap it up.
Yeah, sounds good. And dude, Cassie is a new Link AI, and I've been checking it out. It's pretty awesome. there's some questionable things that I've seen in there. Like, okay, if what we should do is when we do the man versus machine, we should ask Cassie some questions or something, you know. But we should do that like as like an AI segment kind of, and just go ask Link some questions and stuff too. To me, honestly, what would Cassie say if you could mount outlet assembly face up in a laundry area?
They should have called it James.
They should have. They should have. Yeah, they messed up. They should have called it King James. Yeah, they should have called it King James AI, but that would have probably set some people off, and I'm not saying we don't want to do that, but it is kind of hilarious. Like, did you ever get any public inputs in?
No, I got sick.
Yeah.
Remember, I was freaking, man, the week I was going to do it, and man, I got sicker. And dog, I'll wait. I'll get them on.
I posted for the show. I posted us for the show, so I got them in. But the whole thing is that's so funny is I tied them all together, and you're the one that taught me how to tie it all together like that because you can't submit a public input. So, like that's where I had to like take some lessons from the guy who never done it and didn't know how to do it and everything like that. But
what was funny was they said, "Oh, you can't do it by this rule," but they did it by another rule. That shows you just the. If they can't answer, that's their cop out.
True. Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, the question needs to contain all the relevant information. And dude, that's a good point, David. I probably do need to like clear it up a little bit better when I do my questions, but at the same time, that one of the things that I've done too that Ryan Jackson says you can't do is he says you can't copy the code word for word. So I always tell my apprentices, if you don't go in there and find it word for word in the code, then you got the wrong answer.
That's right.
And so I think word for word is important. And if you don't find it in the code word for word, you don't got the right answer. And don't trust ChatGPT if it's not giving you the section word for word. And that's right. I think where AI is lacking quite a bit. So that's really awesome, David. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks so much, Daniel. Good luck, Daniel, in your quest. Thanks so much for going and hanging out with me at the Avalanche first playoff game. We won 2-1, and hopefully we win tonight. And you know what? Let's go Avalanche. And as always, make every day an easy day.
Amen. All right, so everybody Bill will see y'all next Thursday. I'm going to be out of town. So.
Yeah, reach out to me, David. We might have you on as a guest. David and Daniel, just come on as guests, and we'll just hang out and just talk about, maybe I'll find some good audio we'll talk about or something.
Okay.
Figure something out.
All right. Peace, everybody.
All right. Deuces.
Later.